please share a little bit about that.
This year alone, eyewear expenses have risen about over 10%, and we are seeing more consumers push toward low-cost online options. That clearly shifts the demand for U.S.-made products and put a lot of pressure on small and family-owned manufacturers that are trying to reshore production.
Hello, everyone. This is Erin Morgan. I am with Insight Media, and I am here today on the Economic Insight podcast with two fantastic industry leaders in vision care. I am here with Ashley Mills, the CEO of the Vision Council, and Julia 𝗵𝗲. You are the CEO of 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Eyewear. And we are here today to discuss last week the Vision Council, some leaders from the Vision Council and representatives of U.S. eyewear manufacturers, including 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Eyewear, met with senior officials at the Office of the United States Trade Representative, the USTR, to discuss how current tariffs on eyewear components and finished goods are affecting American manufacturers, also potentially increasing costs for patients and challenging the overall competitiveness of the U.S. vision industry. So the tariffs have been kind of a big topic of discussion in our industry. I really appreciate both of you joining us here today to share a little bit about what happened, what kind of some of the goals and the discussions were at the meeting this week at USTR. Can you please tell us a bit about the meeting? What were your goals kind of headed into the meeting?
Thanks, Erin. Last week, the Vision Council had the opportunity to take member companies to the administration to explain the real consequences and in some cases unintended consequences that the tariff policy has had on our members' ability to deliver their products to the end consumer. So whenever we have these opportunities, we love to bring our members to Washington to really put a face to the independent family businesses operating in the United States of America, employing Americans, and what current policy is doing to their ability to grow and scale and invest. I would like to note that this is part of an ongoing strategy that the Vision Council has been implementing and will continue to action on the advocacy agenda. We'll take every opportunity to meet with the administration across all different agencies. We just had a really successful meeting in the spring at the National Economic Council. This meeting with the United States Trade Representative is part of that continued strategy to make sure that policymakers understand what the value of vision is in this country economically as an employer and as a product and a Class 1 medical device, as well as what businesses are facing as a result. And overall, I think we got some really good insight into how to continue to work with the administration going forward. And there were certainly some specifics that they were very interested in. So I know Julia did a tremendous job, and Ken and Paula Weissman from Modern Optical as well really did a great job kind of showing what our industry is all about.
That's fantastic. And what a great, kind of knowledge and education for those representatives to have, right? To understand the value of the vision care industry. So thank you all for advocating there. So can you kind of just share a little bit more about the specifics of what were the key points of discussion that were focused on, such as how tariffs have potentially affected the industry or how they have the potential to affect the industry and eye care as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. My goal going to the meeting was very simple, was to make sure that the USTR fully understands how the current tariffs on eyewear components are directly affecting American manufacturers, but also small family business and ultimately the U.S. consumers. We have absolutely been challenged the last year with facing like a high cost increase overall in operating cost. But we also thought that, as always, where there is challenge, there is an opportunity. And we asked the USTR to provide us with some guidance and clarification, maybe better understanding the current tariffs, that can help us keep on expanding the production sites that we have planted back in 2017 before the Made in USA became such a great initiative to support like we know right now. But the truth is that we as a company that come with a very long heritage of eyewear manufacturing with over 30 years behind us, we thought that in America, this shouldn't be just a dream. We wanted to be a real proof that Made in USA production is a reality. And we have put in place a system that combines AI-powered 3D configurators with skilled laborers that can help us transforming this into reality. That at the end is what the president wishes for.
That's very exciting to hear, kind of your focus and direction, and hopefully that will continue to be, more and more of that in the U.S., bringing in more eyewear manufacturing here. So that's really great information for our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the specific effects of the tariffs, of these kind of rising eyewear expenses, maybe as a whole, kind of looking at the industry, looking at vision care, right? What's the impact on patients? What's the impact on practitioners? What's the impact on vulnerable populations? Kind of pushing consumers towards maybe more low cost or foreign, or online vendors, even reducing demand for US made products. Could you please share a little bit about that?
Well, this year alone, eyewear expenses have risen about over 10%, and we're seeing more consumers push toward low-cost online options. That clearly shifts the demand for U.S.-made products and put a lot of pressure on small and family-owned manufacturers that are trying to reshore production. On top of that, the biggest concern that we see related to eye care is that untreated vision issues can worsen chronic conditions like diabetes and hypertension. So this is not just an industry issue, it's a public health issue.
Thank you. Yes, it certainly is, right? It expands far beyond just the manufacturing. It affects the whole population that requires eye care, which is most everyone. So what are some of the effects, health effects even of, kind of this situation with the vision care industry?
I think the three top concerns are related to conditions like diabetes and hypertension. Also, considering that up to half of the childhood vision issues are preventable if corrected on time. And also, seniors and Medicaid patients are especially vulnerable when costs rise. So once again, this is not just an industry issue that we are discussing, it's more of a public health issue.
Absolutely. And that has a broad effect, no doubt. So could you please tell us a little bit more about the conversation as it related to specifically U.S. eyewear manufacturing for positive growth there? Were there some discussions about that, and kind of what were the outcomes or, some of the thought process on that?
I was there as a living proof that this is not just a dream. As I said, making eyewear manufacturing onshore is a reality. And we wanted to prove that not only we are a reality, but our business model is possible and scalable. In fact, as I said, we had opened our manufacturing facility back in 2017 before any incentive existed at all, but because we truly believe that eyewear manufacturing belonged here, right? So in our specific model, we created what we call a sell-first, produce-later model using AI-powered customization technology. So we can produce not only what it's needed, but we can also reduce waste, inventory, and making U.S. manufacturing competitive again. We want to make sure that the USTR understand that if they could help us just adding some clarification on certain tariffs, that could really accelerate not just our business, but the overall onshoring production for the U.S.
So my last question is, what was the feedback that you received kind of in the end of the conversation, right, from the USTR representatives? at the end of the discussion, and kind of what are some of the outcomes or next steps that may be outlined for our industry?
What I gathered from the meeting is that the staff was extremely open and receptive. They asked a lot of thoughtful questions, and it was clear that they wanted to fully understand the real economy and patient impacts behind this. They appreciate hearing direct examples from US manufacturers and seemed encouraged by the data that we shared. I believe that this meeting really laid the foundation for continued dialogue in the future. So I wanted to thank again Ashley and the Vision Council for giving us this opportunity, because I think we're just at the beginning of what could be something really extraordinary for our industry and our country.
I would love to echo that. So obviously Julia's an eyewear manufacturer. We also took Modern Optical in, a true wholesaler. We talked a lot about even things that were outside of the jurisdiction of the United States Trade Representative's office. It gives us an opportunity now to continue meeting with other agencies, Erin. So another huge priority for the Vision Council is some parity on Made in the USA labeling. Currently, even though we have several member companies who are manufacturing, employing, growing, and investing in the US, they're not able to label made in the USA. So then we could take that conversation and a consistent message to the FTC as a follow-up. We can now circle back with the National Economic Council from our April meeting and say that we've met with USTR, and these are some things that we can pursue. We asked very specifically for additional guidance that they have on who else we should be speaking to. We certainly plan on speaking with Medicare and Medicaid services. That meeting is hopefully going to be scheduled very soon. But this is all part of just a consistent messaging strategy across each agency, because each agency does different things in the overall policy arena. And then we're also, as a follow-up, continuing to work with legislators on Capitol Hill so that this is a very consistent, cohesive, long-term strategy. Obviously, our industry is very complicated. It's not as easy as importing or manufacturing. We also got an opportunity to talk about how a lens is made and how our independent optical laboratories operating in the United States are trying to grow and scale as well. So it was a great meeting from the perspective that we got a chance to talk about the totality of the industry. And now our next steps are we take different issues to different agencies consistently. But they were very interested in learning that our industry is one of technological advancement. They were very interested in competitiveness as an exporter. They were very interested in AI. They were very interested in employment, and they're very, very interested on the real impacts on Main Street of tariff policy. So we have quite a bit to go on and quite a bit of follow-up to do. But one of our overarching goals for this meeting was to continue to make ourselves available as a partner to the administration in how we can solve some of these challenges. So I think overall it was very productive. I'm very grateful to our members for making themselves available to come to DC and do it.
Absolutely. Sounds like a fantastic initiative and some breakthroughs, right? And just in terms of awareness and knowledge that will, have long-term effects. And you're moving on to work with these other agencies potentially. So it's really exciting. We'll be very excited to hear more as you progress. So we'll have to do another episode as you move along. So we can keep our audience updated. But I thank you both for your time. Really appreciate you sharing your experience. It's very exciting. And yes, so thank you both.
Thank you, Erin.
It's great to see you. Thank you all for joining us today for our Economic Insight podcast from Insight Media. And we will look forward to seeing you again soon.